Good morning, fellow librarians. Today I'm going to do a run-through of one of my favorite characters, which is the exceptionally impulsive pyromancer Chandra Nalaar, who we have several cards for in Arena. Let me just Backlight Flame, here we go. So basically, Chandra Nalaar is a young, like comically young pyromancer from the plane of Kaladesh, who was hunted because on Kaladesh magic without machines is rare, and pyromancy is definitely not good, or not considered good. And so she ran away from home, got into some trouble with the law. They hunted her down because, again, out of control mage. In the pursuit, she ended up killing, air quotes, killing her father. She didn't. Spoilers. The guys hunting her killed her father. But she caused some devastation on the way because, as you're a 10-year-old pyromancer with no control, stuff goes on fire. Her father famously built the uh, regulator that she wears on almost all her incarnations, which helps her control her powers. Although the term control is loose. After being hunted, she was arrested, put on a show trial, and was sentenced to execution. In her execution, she flames walked away. Actually, a good question. I wonder if do we have a copy of the card that shows that? No, we don't. There's a card called Chandra's Ignition, which shows her planes walking away in a spectacular fireball, mutilating the person who almost killed her and who was hunting her, which is cool because he's a unmitigated SOB. So no shame there. The person who hunted her, not is this douche canoe variety of compliance. He basically is fascist SS anti-mage person. If you like him as a character, you may have some issues. I guess you don't have to like him as a character. You can like him as a character and not agree with him. If you agree with him, I don't like you as a person. His card is fine. I just wish it was attached to him because I can't play cards for characters I don't like. Sorry, not sorry. Her mother is PNLR, who is great, an artificer. Her father is also an artificer. They have different specializations. She does a lot of enhancements. He does a lot of weaponization. Like he makes pretty good ones. Like hers don't allow damage, whereas if on the card Pia and Kieran, they can do damage using artifacts. So it shows that with Kieran, he can weaponize them a bit better than she can, but she makes great enhanced ones, which is cool. Chandra first planeswalked to Carol Keep, which we do actually have a reference to, Carol Keep Disciples, where she basically tried to learn pyromancy. They deify pyromancers. They're a pyromancer specialist monastery on Rogatha, led by Jaya Ballard, who is actually like pre-Mendine and awesome. She accidentally founded the monastery and has since the Mendine decided to, if they're gonna deify her, they might as well do it right. So she's been living there, trying to teach them the right way of doing things under the name Mother Luti, where she helps basically raise Chandra from her troublesome years of 10 up. Uh, she's a great character, famous in Magic for being just snarky, which has kind of been lost in the her reintroduction, which is kind of a shame. I quite like her. One day I'll actually build a deck that makes her work. This unfortunately is not it. So yeah, she spent years there. She crosses paths with Gideon during the during the original Zenical block. We don't have the card for that. It's just the Gideon Jura and the Purifying Fire, which is great. They get to know each other. Gideon is a white character with some red tendencies, which he tries to ignore because his previous form of Scythian Aurora grew up in Akros, which is the sort of Greek Sparta warrior place. So I think he empathizes with a pyromancer a bit more than most white mages would do. I just wish he could accept that a bit better of himself. He might have been a better character if he could accept the fact that he isn't as pure as he wishes he was. But oh well, not all characters can be perfect. So after tangling with him for a while, she ends up with the Gatewatch, which I don't know if we have the Oath cards for her. No, we don't. We have some of the newer ones, but not the older ones. So she crosses paths with Jace, which causes untold havoc. Blue and red, not good pairs. So after that happened, and during the Zendikar block where she accidentally helped release the Eldrazi, which people blame her for, it's a key that no one knew how. She didn't know she knew the lock. It's like, how can you blame her? The thing was intentionally left hidden for thousands of years. And people hunted her until she found it. So what was she supposed to do? So it's kind of a tragic event, but after that happened, and she helped lock them away again using basically the entire mana of the Plains of Zendikar with the help of Nissa, who they have a burgeoning relationship, which they've unfortunately sort of retconned, which I dislike. They, in a bad decision, decided to make Chandra straight, air quotes, when she categorically is not. Even if you take, like, she flirts enough with female and non-binary characters, there's no way she's a straight character. She may not be gay, but she's not straight either. Like, she's as described by some people who've written for her, she's a pansexual disaster, and that comes through in every one of her outings. I love Chandra as a character so much. Her current paramour is this ludicrous ripped paladin. The most recent stories have them act completely, totally, and unambiguously as a couple, and it's great. Maybe one day, unfortunately, because Asline's plane bound, that's not a relationship that could ever sort of stay permanent. So hopefully they'll be able to reunite the Gruul friends, which is possibly the worst pun ever made. So yeah, during the Zendikar block, Nissa and Chandra joined their sort of power sets, so Nissa could channel the ley lines through Chandra, who basically used the entire planar power of Zendikar to fry the Eldrazi to a crisp in the card Fall of the Titans, which unfortunately is not an arena, so I can't show you the event. It's a great sort of image. It left Chandra like immobile for weeks. She just couldn't move, couldn't walk. After that, they went to Innistrad to find the third one, Emrakul, where they tried to do the same thing again but couldn't quite do it. Innistrad's ley lines were a bit too alien for Nissa to effectively use. Are there any Innistrad? No. Okay, cool. After that story sort of resolved, there was no real Chandra sort of story there, which is fine. Not every character can be key to every story. They went to Kaladesh, where stuff happened. I can probably actually Kaladesh Remastered. I can almost probably run this down. So she ended up on Kaladesh. Let's go for red and black because that was important. There's the card Demonic Shooter, which I don't know if we printed. They did not print, which is probably fair. Liliana basically egging Chandra on to cause havoc on Kaladesh just because she can. There we are. Kaladesh tortured Chandra twice because obviously she found out that the consulate that had hunted her as a kid have grown in power, and she's not a fan. Finds out her mother is the head of the renegades. And of course, she's just going to jump at that chance. Who could blame her? Her mother's awesome, and realizing that her mother's still alive, stuff happened. She takes it personally when Tezzeret basically organizes a fake arena fight to try and kill Pia. No, Tezzeret. It's Tezzeret Schema. So basically, there's no way Pia could win, and so Chandra pops up, takes a few pot shots, and causes the rebellion to the revolt to hit, basically go out in the open. With some of the other members of the Gatewatch. So the Gatewatch being Chandra, Nissa, Liliana, Gideon, Jace. Gideon and Jace weren't entirely keen on letting Chandra go off the rail, but Nissa pointed out, like, it's her home. This is implicitly her problem to deal with. They were brought here by Dovin, who pointed out, like, oh yeah, we have a cat, Mr. Nalaar is being a problem. And it's like, you maybe not want to point that out to Chandra Nalaar. So that kind of blew up in their face a little bit. During the revolution, Dovin destroys the Heart of Kiran's and the Hobagirpa's engine, preventing them to stop the planar bridge, which was invented. Planar bridge, yeah. So this is the first thing that can allow extra plane travel for non-planeswalkers. So far, it can only do inorganic materials, and planeswalkers themselves can go through. Inorganics because they survive the trip, and planeswalkers because they already have the spark, so they're kind of protected anyway. This is so if Keswick ever perfect it, the universe is in trouble. Hobagirpa was implanted with an ether disruptor that would destroy the Hobagirpa and use the Heart of Kiran to deliver it, but unfortunately Dovin sabotage prevented that from happening. The bridge itself was not actually invented by Tezzeret. It was invented by Rashmi, Eternity's crafter, who didn't quite know what she had invented, but helped them try and stop it because she realized that this is a problem that Tezzeret should not be allowed to have. Also, Johnny too. He was there for different hunting down Tezzeret because he has links to Tezzeret from the Mirren Resistance. Long story, don't worry about it. It's not a huge key to. It just explains why he's here. It's not huge. The story of Mirren isn't a huge problem right now. But he tracks down Chandra, who at the time is being trapped and poisoned by Tezzeret. Do we have the card for that? I don't think we do. No. So he rescues Chandra and Nissa and Mother over Pashiri. There she is. Who had basically took him in, and he refers to his grandmother. She's adorable. She actually helped Chandra when Chandra was a child. Had helped hide her from the law for a short time, and so Chandra and Ajani have a sort of link there, which is cool because they're kind of adorable. Ajani understands Chandra implicitly because he's from a plane where red magic is integral, so he understands that sort of the fury and the fire. It's not him anymore. It used to be, but he understands that logic and power, which is quite cool. But after the planar disruptor, the ether disruptor was sabotaged. We have ourselves. Do we actually have the card for that? Basically, Chandra. No, we don't have it. Okay. Well, we do have the card of the setup showdown that was faked. But basically, Chandra was in a previous fight for the Ether Hub. Chandra and Baral had a fight where Baral basically egged her on. It's like, you killed your father. You're just a monster. She's not. But it did push her over the precipice of trigger warnings, I guess, for this story. The story Burn has her suffering suicidal thoughts, which, as someone myself who has dealt with that, I really empathise with. For 12 years she has thought that she killed her father, and then he's like, oh yeah, you did, and obviously that pushes her. Like, well, what if I am the monster? What do? I can burn, and basically we never find out what the power of the spell she was about to cast is, but it is hot enough that once it get going, it kind of kept itself going. So it's implied to be like almost nuclear, like small star thing, which I think is kind of sweet. But obviously, once it starts, all it can do is burn. But luckily, Nissa talked her down from that precipice. But when the disruptor is destroyed, she realizes that she can do that again. and just nuke the Painter Bridge. Like, it will just get trash canned. So she fires, like, gets into the Hopikiripa and fires herself at the Painter Bridge with Gideon using his magic to protect her. Is there any card showing that? No, that's annoying. There's some great art of that sort of scene where he's holding her enshrouded in his light, which is quite cool. After that, her story kind of takes a backseat for a while. It's just a lot of her and Nissa being cute and adorable, which is cool. Until after the fight on Amonkhet against Bolas, where she tries to use fire against a dragon, and even Bolas like, "Are you kidding me?" Which is fair. It's like fire against a dragon. It does actually make him like take a step back, because I think he implicitly mentions that she might be the most powerful, like of just raw power of the Gatewatch, that she can just do insane things. Implied that the purifying fire helped boost her power. It's not clear, but after that fight, she realizes that she needs to be more powerful if she wants to be a helpful member of the Gatewatch, which leads us to Dominaria. That's just a good point. Is there actually any Amonkhet cards that show her being cool? I don't think there is. Oh, there's this, which is quite cool. Oh, that's the Arcane cards. That's not part of the story. No, she takes it back. Again, like, not every character can be important for every story, which is fine. I know she's not involved in Ixalan at all, so it's fine. Dominaria. She realizes that she can't really do anything, so she goes back to the Regathan monastery and steals Jaya's goggles, which I don't know if... I need to stop printing these cards. Basically, Jaya left a pair of goggles on Regatha, and Chandra steals them and goes, "I want to find Jaya and give them to her and get her to teach me," not realizing that Mother Lucy is Jaya, and that leads to some problems. Chandra doesn't take it well, because as far as she knows, Jaya has been lying to her for the last 10 years. But eventually they sort of get... She starts listening to Jaya's personality. It's implied that Jaya's magic doesn't work the same way as Chandra's. For those who don't know, Jaya is what is referred to as a task mage. She has a very small spellbook, but she can use those small array of spells, to a wide variety of tasks. Basically, she's a mage for hire. Spell savers don't have a huge variety, but they are very versatile in what they can do. They can do them consistently and quite powerfully. Although Conan Planeswalker did open up her... I'm trying to think of the word and I can't think of it. Not retinue. Brain fart there. But you can see from the visual appearance, they're very different characters. Jaya summons the fire in her hand and it weaves around her in like a very delicate, controlled manner. Chandra, not so much. Like, she is woman on fire. But that's pretty cool. The main end, I don't think much happens in Dominaria for Chandra, other than that sort of introduction that Jaya, in fact, been there the entire time, which is quite cool. After Dominaria, we had Ixalan, where she implicitly wasn't involved. Then we had Ravnica block, where she didn't do much else. Her main role in the War of the Spark was basically a rematch with Dovin Barn, who had used the Immortal Sun. David basically used the Immortal Sun to lock everyone on the plane, and Chandra is the only one who could deal with it. Actually, turned it off and then had to turn it back on again. Turning it off she could do, because Sahili turned it off, but when they needed it to turn back on again, it needed basically a pyromancer's kickstart, so that was Chandra's job. She managed to take on beat Dovin because she got Lazav to pretend to be her. It was great. It's such a great scene. because Devon saw Lazar, who is a perfect shapeshifter, and goes like, "Oh, you never changed." She's like, "Except this time I did," and then was behind him the whole time. It was great. After Devon threw Lazar threw throwing stars into his face, which is great because I dislike Devon Barn intently. Although didn't have a perfect ending, unfortunately. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there's much left for Chandra on War Spark. She was kind of not again, not every character could be one, but some great art there of her specifically having a fight against Dovin's starters, which is quite cool. What was her card? It was Pyro Helix and Chandra's Triumph, which is her finally beating her sort of demons on that one. After War of the Spark, she has disappeared from the story for the most part. She has a comic where she hangs out with Rajani and Mum, Pia on Kaladesh, catching up on lost time. Her enemy in the comics is Tybalt, of all people, who has popped up in the story since. Let's try War of the Spark. He is currently sending Valky. It's implied that the comics take place between the two of Kaladesh. It's had some problematic scenes because he feeds off emotions, and Chandra's it's not exactly subtle, but her regulator, as I was talking about earlier. Yeah, their stuff. Actually, it's a good question. Let's see if Gyro's goggles just in the game. No, it's not. Okay, cool. She has appeared again during standard. She was not in Medical Rising, not in Kaldheim, not in Strixhaven, not in that, obviously. She turned up again on Midnight Hunt. She's basically... It's not implied how she turned up. I think Tiferi turned up looking... Because he was approached by someone to solve the problem of the moon. And when stuff kind of started going south, he called in the Gatewatch. So Chandra's there, Kaya's there, Gideon's there. No, not Gideon. Gideon has unfortunately died, which has weighed on Chandra a bit because she now lives by the "what would Gideon do," which is quite sweet. Because she wants to be a good person. I love this art that she turns up just to kill. But it's not the best art. The best art of her is absolutely... no, I want to Styles. That's what I'm looking for. She's the other day. She gets to a wedding, and the first thing she does is wants to outdress the bride, and doesn't even have the easy to turn the fire off. Chef's kiss. We love it. Ooh. Don't want to do that. I kind of do. Maybe later. We'll figure it out. So, yeah. Her power suite has always been burninate, burn some more. But yeah, so during the Midnight Hunt, her and Adeline have come close. Adeline loves her because she is a literal walking source of light, and Adeline is the big buff, really leggy lady that Chandra apparently finds herself attracted to, which is neat. Can't wait to see some more story behind that. And again, I stress everyone in the story ships Adeline and Chandra. It's so cool. Even Kaya. Yeah, if you haven't read them, go read the Innistrad story. It's cute. It's cute. I like it. Yeah. Talk about Chandra's power suite. Let's do this to make it easier. Every single Chandra card does damage of some sort. In fact, this one's the one if you doesn't. So we got Chandra does damage to elementals. She has a sub theme of summoning elementals, so she does direct damage, summons elementals, impulse draw, which is like burn your hand, draw some more cards, or exile cards into the library that you can use that turn. That's basically her 3 abilities. I think the elementals it's just there as a sort of nod to Ragatha, which a few cards we've seen that do from Ragatha have all been elemental support cards. Also, the card Young Pyromancer is literally Chandra's fanboy. Let's go with this. You can't see it in the art very well, but there's a necklace medallion of Chandra's face, and his belt says Chandra. Again, literally Chandra's fanboy. It's great. And so both versions of the pyromancer, some elementals. So I think that's sort of a thing that's the regarded as speciality of magic. So yeah, so elemental, elemental, elemental in source of magic, does damage, cares about damage, does damage. Again, not a big deal for red, I guess, to have that, but she's great. She's not hugely versatile in constructed formats. Mono red being kind of shafted whenever a control deck becomes powerful, or if like life gain is strong, mono red kind of just disappears because it just can't keep up. Without card draw, it's kind of hard to maintain the momentum you need to defeat certain decks in constructed formats, but it doesn't stop me from ever trying to just do mono Chandra Planeswalker. So I've been doing mono red for a long time. I love this character. Everything about hers, it speaks to me on a very deeply personal level of not choosing not to think, but not having the option. Like, it's clear that she doesn't do things because she doesn't want to think about it. It's something happens and she reacts because it's what comes. That's how she operates, which again is very red, which I kind of understand. And actually, in recent time, I've realised a lot of that is charm responses. If you've been through some shit, which she clearly has, oftentimes you don't really get the option to stop and think about what you're doing to survive. You just have to act, go, go, go. And after a while, it becomes the only way you can keep going, because if you stop and think, you have years and years of trauma that you have to now deal with, and you gotta keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. It becomes hard to stop and think about it. Hopefully, we'll get some proper story with her now that she's sort of dealt with the Baral and Dovin and Mom being safe and alive. In fact, there's a card in Kaladesh, which I don't think is in Arena. Yeah, there's a mosaic memorial to Kieran, which is beautiful. In fact, there's actually a matching one for Chandra on the opposite wall, but we don't see that because she doesn't need to keep up anymore because she found out her daughter's alive. It's great. So that is me. So thank you very much. That's me talking basically freely for almost like half an hour about Chandra Nalaar. Any questions and comments, I will try and read and answer them. And I might do a Q&A video one day of just all the things people mentioned. Yeah, I hope they fix some of the negative changes they did to Chandra. Cough, cough, I want Gruul friends to be a thing again. But yeah, thank you for listening to me. Like, share, subscribe, all that nonsense. And I will eventually reactivate my Patreon so I can have somewhere for you guys to put money if you care. If you don't, you don't. It's fine. I will sort of eventually get my head up my ass and actually do this properly. So thank you all, and I hope you all have a very nice day.